12-year-old Oscar is a timid boy who is constantly bullied at school by Connie and his two sidekicks, Martin and Andreas. Out of fear, Oscar never fights back. But in the evenings, he sits alone in the courtyard with a knife, practicing attacks on trees as if they were his enemies. One night, Oscar notices a strange girl his age moving into the apartment next door, number 15. She's with a man who looks like her father. Oddly, the first thing they do is cover all the windows with cardboard. What Oscar doesn't know is that this man, Håkan, is not really her father. He's her servant, her Renfield, because the girl, Eli, is a vampire. Håkan's job is to bring her blood. He hunts people, knocks them out with chemicals, strings them upside down, slits their necks, and drains their blood into a jug, leaving the bodies to be found later. But Håkan is struggling to do his job. On his first kill after the move, he messes up and loses the container of blood. This mistake leaves Eli hungry and restless. Later, Oscar is stabbing at a tree in the courtyard, pretending it's his bullies, when he notices Eli watching him. She's blunt and unfriendly, telling him right away that they can't be friends. The next night, they meet again in the same spot. Oscar notices she doesn't wear a coat despite the freezing Stockholm winter. She isn't even shivering. And there's something odd. She smells bad. Yet Oscar shows her his Rubik's Cube and explains how it works. After Oscar goes inside, Eli slips into the night to hunt. Under a bridge, two men walk home. When they split up, Yaki takes the path alone. Suddenly, a small voice calls out, "Help me!" Thinking a little girl has fallen, Yaki bends down to help her, but Eli leaps onto him, biting deep into his neck. Blood spills as she feeds. A neighbor, Josta, sees everything from his window. By the time he runs to a cafe to call for help, the body is gone. Håkan has already dragged it away and dumped it in a pond. Only the trail of blood remains in the snow. The next morning, Oscar finds his Rubik's Cube sitting solved in the courtyard. Eli has returned it. When they meet again later, she explains how she figured it out. This time, she doesn't smell bad. But when Oscar asks her birthday, she says she doesn't know. She doesn't celebrate. She never gets gifts. Oscar gives her the cube as a present. At school, Oscar copies Morse code from the encyclopedia after class. On the way home, Connie and his friends corner him. They demand to see his notes, but when Oscar refuses, Martin grabs him and Andreas whips his legs with a stick. Martin slashes Oscar's cheek, leaving a cut. At home, Oscar lies to his mother, saying he fell at recess. But when Eli asks, he tells her the truth. She tells him he has to fight back. If he stands up to them, they'll stop. And if they don't, she promises to help him. That night, Oscar shares the Morse code with Eli, and they start tapping messages on the wall between their apartments. The next day, Oscar signs up for weightlifting at school. Later, he takes Eli to a candy shop and offers her a sweet. At first, she refuses, but finally tries one. Almost instantly, she vomits on the sidewalk. Embarrassed, Oscar hugs her. Eli then asks if he would still like her if she wasn't a girl. Oscar shrugs and says he guesses so, not really understanding. As Oscar and Eli grow closer, Håkan starts feeling jealous and uneasy. Wanting to prove his worth, he tries again to get blood for Eli. This time, he targets a student alone in the weightlifting room. But before he can finish, the boy's friends arrive. Trapped and knowing he'll be caught, Håkan pours acid over his own face, destroying it so nobody can recognize him. When Eli finds out he's been taken to the hospital, she sneaks in, pretending to be his daughter. The clerk says Håkan is on the 7th floor, so Eli climbs up the outside of the building until she reaches his window. Inside, Håkan lets her in. With his face ruined and his usefulness over, he offers her his neck. Eli feeds one last time, and Håkan falls to his death. That night, Eli returns and taps on Oscar's window, asking to come in. Oscar, half asleep, tells her yes. She crawls into his bed, and he realizes she isn't wearing any clothes. He shyly asks if she'd like to go steady with him. Eli answers, "I'm not a girl." Oscar doesn't care. They decide to be together anyway. The next morning, Eli is gone but leaves a note. "To flee is life, to linger is death. You're Eli." During a school trip to a frozen pond, Connie and his friends try once more to push Oscar into the ice. But this time, Oscar fights back. He swings a stick and cuts Connie's ear, making it bleed. At the same moment, two younger kids nearby discover something trapped in the ice, a frozen body. Police arrive and pull it out. It's Jockey. That afternoon, Oscar takes Eli to the basement of the school. He tells her he wants to mix their blood. He slices his palm with a knife and holds it out. But when drops of his blood fall to the floor, Eli loses control. Starving without Håkan, she drops to the ground and licks it up, unable to resist. Meanwhile, Jockey's friends are shaken. Lake and his girlfriend Virginia pressure Josta to tell police what he saw the night Jockey disappeared. But during the argument, Lake insults Virginia, saying she's cold. Furious, she storms out, and Lockie follows her into the subway. There, Eli suddenly attacks Virginia. Lockie manages to kick Eli off before she can finish, but Virginia has been bitten. The next morning, Virginia feels the change. Sunlight burns her skin, forcing her to quickly shut the blinds. That evening, she visits Ghosta's apartment looking for Lockie. But inside, Ghosta's cats sense what she's becoming and violently attack her. Hissing and clawing, they swarm her body. Later in the hospital, Virginia realizes the truth. She's turning into something she doesn't want to be. Quietly, she asks the doctor to open the blinds. Sunlight pours in. Instantly, her body bursts into flames. The fire consumes her, and she vanishes in a flash of ash and smoke. Oscar might be timid, but he isn't stupid. He starts piecing things together and realizes Eli is a vampire. He goes to her apartment and knocks. Inside, there's barely any furniture, and the place smells foul again. Later, when Eli comes to his apartment and asks to be invited in, Oscar delays. Curious, he asks what would happen if she came in without permission. To his shock, Eli steps across the threshold anyway. Immediately, her body begins bleeding from her skin and eyes. Horrified, Oscar quickly tells her she's welcome inside, and the bleeding stops. She explains she drinks blood not by choice, but because she has to. Oscar listens silently, then lets her shower and gives her one of his mother's dresses. When Eli changes, Oscar sneaks a glance and notices a scar across her body, revealing she's different from what she seems. Before long, Oscar's mother returns home, and Eli escapes through the window, climbing back to her apartment across the way. The next morning, Oscar finds a note from Eli asking to meet, but trouble is coming. Lockie has tracked Eli down. He breaks into her apartment and finds her sleeping in the bathtub, hidden from the sun. Because it's too dark to see, he tears down the cardboard covering the windows. Suddenly, Oscar shouts, "No!" giving Eli just enough time to wake and attack. She leaps onto Lockie and drains him of blood. When it's over, she thanks Oscar, but tells him she must leave. That night, Oscar watches from his window as she moves away. The following day, Oscar gets a call from Martin. He asks if Oscar will be at swim practice and admits Oscar was right to stand up to Connie. But the bullies have one last plan. That afternoon, Oscar swims alone in the pool. Someone sets a fire outside, forcing the attendant to leave. In that moment, Connie, Andreas, and Connie's older brother Jimmy walk in. Jimmy orders everyone else out, leaving Oscar trapped. He tells Oscar he must stay underwater for 3 minutes, or lose an eye in payment for Connie's ear. Jimmy grabs Oscar by the hair and pushes him under. Seconds pass, then a minute. Oscar thrashes, his lungs burning, the world going quiet. He thinks he's about to die, but then chaos erupts above him. Through the water, he sees legs splashing, then falling still. A severed head sinks past him. An arm drifts by. The pool fills with blood. Suddenly, Oscar is pulled to safety. He gasps for air and sees Eli. She has slaughtered his tormentors, sparing only one boy, left sobbing at the pool's edge. Oscar looks at her. He doesn't scream. He doesn't run. He understands. In the epilogue, Oscar rides a train, snow falling outside the window. Beside him sits a large wooden box. From inside comes a soft tapping. Oscar taps back in Morse code, P-U-S-S. It means kiss. From the box comes a reply. Oscar smiles faintly. Whatever Eli is, whatever darkness follows her, he has chosen to stay with her. Thanks for sticking around until the end of the video. If you enjoyed this recap and want to see more dark and chilling stories like this, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next movie breakdown. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. What would you have done if you were in Oscar's place? Drop your answer in the comments below. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next recap.